The following is a presentation of the Eagles Sports Network.
Well, don't know a whole lot about this year's edition because they didn't get challenged too much their first ball game, and so consequently I don't know how much that we actually saw of the real shorter. They were very dominant first ball game. But going on, I know all 11 defensive starters that started last year are back, and I know they've got speed on offense. They've got size and speed on offense, and got a new quarterback that's gifted, looks like, and so their kicking game is changeable but sound. In other words, changeable. They're liable to do something that we've never seen before, because they do that quite often with their kicking game, and so they get real creative with their kicking game. And so anyway, I think it's going to be a great challenge, especially considering how we played in phases and how we played in certain conditional mindsets like we did Saturday of Thursday night. Then we got a great challenge on our hands, a great challenge on our hands.
You brought up the starters returning for them defensively. Not only from last year, but the last time we played them, a lot of their 2D, probably 80% of their defensive 2D was on the field when you played them in 2013. What about that veteran status? They gave up points last year, but I mean, you've got a bunch of players at almost every position who are now 3-year starters.
Yes, and you can't beat experience. You know, we found that out Thursday night too. That experience is very important, and I think they've got the tools. There's no question about it, and they've got a good-looking squad, and so it'll be. I'm sure after watching this video, they'll be pretty confident coming in here too. So it'll be a good challenge for us.
Jordan Shaw, All-American safety for them.
Very good.
8 picks last year. What makes him tick?
Well, he's got it. You know, whatever it is, he seems like he's got that sixth sense of know where the ball's going to be, and he'll be there too. You know, so I think he's got some things that you don't coach. He's got size, speed, and got some intangibles. So I think he's a very, very gifted football player.
Can you compare him to any? I mean, you've seen some great safeties these past few years between L.J. McCray, Catawba, who's now at the 49ers, Michael Green over at LR. Can you compare him to anybody that you've faced these past few years?
Well, he's a lot like McCray, probably in the fact that he's big and that he runs very well, and then he's like Green in a lot of ways in the fact that he's got that sixth sense, and that's what Green had. He just ended up being at the right place at the right time, seemed like, and if he was the Player of the Year in the Gulf South Conference, Defensive Player of the Year, then he must be pretty good, because they've got some good players in the Gulf South Conference. So. I'd have to say that he must be a pretty good playmaker.
Defensively, obviously, a lot to get corrected from week one. It's always said that the biggest jump a team makes between week one and week two. What have you seen this week that leads you to believe that will occur again? Well,
I've just got confidence in our kids and the fact that they've worked really hard. They went through the SEALs Challenge. They've gone through a really tough summer program. They've poured themselves into what we've asked them to, and so I just believe that they're going to continue to improve. And I know one thing that hurts us, and it's not anything we can do anything about, but we got a lot of people that didn't play that I wish were playing, but they may not play all year, you know, because of injuries. And for the various reasons. And so we've, we're thin. There's no question about it, in the wrong places. But at the same time, we can play a whole lot better. And we're not a exciting young football defensive team anymore. We're a veteran football team now on defense, because we got a game under our belt, so that makes us veterans. And so we're going to hopefully play like veterans.
We still don't have a veteran punter yet. Can you solve that mystery? Who will be punting?
Well, we will actually go through some stuff today that will help us decide again. But last week it's going to be Christian Ramirez was going to be our first punter. He might not have been our second punter, the second punt, but he was going to punt the first one, and we got 2 or 3 good options there, I think.
Along the lines of special teams, you said that your kickoff unit has some of your best players. Looking back at the game tape, was it a personnel issue or was it a schematic issue?
Well, it was probably had something to do with getting blocked. They did a couple of schemes on us that we weren't expecting, as far as, but we made a mistake probably coaching wise in the fact that the last 10 days of fall camp, we had some guys that could run that we decided that they would be really good on kickoff team, and probably did not have the previous 2 weeks of drills and fundamentals that we put everybody through on the kicking units. They did not have the opportunity to do all them drills, and so we probably thought that speed and maybe some skill would overcome being fundamentally sound. And we were not very fundamentally sound on kickoff coverage. There was times when we were dodging blocks and getting so far out of our lane that a triple wide trailer could have gone through it. And all it takes is when in kick coverage or in defense football, if one guy is not in his gap responsibility or his lane responsibility, then the whole group tears down. And all it takes is a crease for a guy, especially that can run 10-3 or whatever he could run, faster than anybody else we had, I know that, gets in that seam, then your schemes break down pretty quick. Even our backside safety and our kicker were shocked with the speed of how he came through an open space without slowing down. And so, on kickoff coverage, you want 3 layers. We got 2 wild men, what we call wild men, that has no responsibilities except go make something happen. And then the second is the 8 guys that are responsible for lanes. And then the next is you got safety. That's the kicker, and then you got another safety, that offside, that's supposed to be coming with the ball goes that way. He's supposed to come and be, so you got 2 safeties. So you got 3 levels of I call it 3 layers of attacking the return. And our third layer was non-existent because we couldn't run fast enough to get where he was because it was so open. And the second layer was getting gapped like crazy. And the first layer was those new guys that was avoiding blocks and going, and so we didn't have a point man at all in this deal. And so so it was pretty ugly. It was real ugly. In fact, it was the ugly of all uglies.
Damian Baker, 3 touchdowns. He said that he's humbled himself. What have you seen from him in his maturation to come and bring stability to the running back spot?
Oh, I think it's one of the great success stories of Carson-Newman football. And because he's, I think he's real. I don't think it's put on to try to temporarily please people. I think it's a change of heart. I think it's something that's very special. And and when you put heart that's wants to honor the Lord in a gifted person like him that can run and as tough as a pine knot, and I really am excited about what's going on in him.
You have a lot of playmakers on offense. It was shown on Thursday night. Darby DeBose had a touchdown, his first reception. What does the coaching staff do to try to get everybody involved?
Well, I'm glad you said that, because that brings up something that I haven't talked to the staff about. But the third series we sent the second offense in. The third defensive series we sent the second defense in, because we wanted them to right off the bat to get exposure and to get an opportunity to get playing time when it counted. And it counted. It's 14-14 at the time. I remember thinking to myself, "What are you doing?" But anyway, it was good, and as some of their younger guys get a little bit more comfortable with the system, we should be able to play more. But we should have played. We did play quite a few, but not enough. The only place we didn't substitute freely was offensive line, and now we're getting a couple of guys well this week, I hope, where they can play and get a little bit more done there as far as getting other guys opportunities to play. That doesn't take us backwards as far as what we're trying to do.
Shorter flex bone, more of a probably true flex bone than what you saw against Cumberland. You mentioned their competition and their exhibition game. What did you learn from the tape from the University of the Faith?
Not much.
Not much.
Yeah, and but we're going back to, and it's a whole different offensive staff. But we're going back to 2013 when we played them, to try to get an idea of what they were successful with against us then, and maybe get their train of thought about what they're going to try to do. But I'm sure that they're turning cartwheels after watching the Cumberland's game, because it didn't matter what Cumberland's lined up in, it worked. And when you're offensive coordinator, that's pretty exciting when whatever you line up in works. And it's but you're right, and a couple of things that we didn't tackle the quarterback real well, and we didn't tackle the speed sweep very well. The tall sweep is the way they were running, and we weren't very good on the backside of stop and reverse, and on third down we were 9 of 11 failures, and so I'd say that coaching staff down there, offensive coaching staff, is sleeping pretty good at night.
How much emphasis have you put? I know it's early in the week, but how much emphasis have you put on getting off the field on third down?
Well, the first thing we did yesterday in practice after we stretched, we worked on kickoff coverage. I don't know why we came up with that, but we worked on kickoff coverage. The second thing that we worked on yesterday was trying to get off of blocks and holding blocks and getting off of blocks and getting to the football. The third thing we did yesterday in practice was third down offense and defense against each other. And the fourth thing we did was kickoff return, because it was bad too. It just didn't show up in the statistics as bad as the kickoff did, but our kickoff return was ugly. And so that was 1, 2, 3, 4 in the practice schedule yesterday. So I don't know why we got our coaches I don't know how he came up with that. It just came to him, I guess. But you think we need to work on those 4 things? Woo!
Do you draw any comparisons from that game all the way back to 2012 Glenville State? Pioneers put up 46 on you, pretty much passed the ball at will. Just in terms of an opening day, hey, you give up a bunch of points. You draw any comparisons to that game?
Well, I haven't thought about that too much. I think the only comparisons I can think of is the fact that we at times was not a very good football team, and so we got so much to correct and so much to grow with, and there's when a game like that happens, and we did a lot of good things too. Don't hear me wrong. I'm not all negative. We didn't punt. We scored every possession on offense, and so we had no offensive turnovers. We did get 2 stops on defense. We did turn the ball over once, and so we got a lot of positive things. But here's what happens when you have a game that as poorly played in places like we did that ball game is, number one, you get out personneled. Number two, you get out schemed, where their schemes are better than the schemes you're lining up against them. And number three, you get out motivated. And there was times Thursday night that we probably, all 3 of those was against us, that we but overall, I think the key is the 80% of the motivation. And I think we probably, because when you watched Cumberland's on film, they didn't jump out at you too much, as far as I'm sure that's what our kids thought. And so so we weren't, and I helped them. I helped set up Cumberland's in a way. I must not got our guys' attention too well, and so consequently we that wasn't our full motor. I hope that our motor's better than that, and I hope that our level of play is better than that, and we'll find out this week.